Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 2, Strangers. This was definitely a great episode, and it was kind of messed up because for about 90% of the entire episode, it's kind of like, overall at least, it was sort of just the happy type of episode. They meet Father Gabriel, who, if you read the comics, you already knew that he was an okay guy. And for anyone who hasn't, I'm not going to spoil what some of the stuff meant on the side of the church, but it was like, all right, they're going to meet Father Gabriel. Not much is really going to happen with his character, and they got the food and they survived, and it was just like everything's okay. And then the last 10% of the episode, everything's just like the opposite. Everything's kind of crappy. Like Carol was probably about to leave. She kind of gets busted by Daryl, and he asks like, "What are you doing?" And she's just like, "I don't really know." She's kind of just been hit like no one has to really accept what I did at the prison when the virus happened, and it took me forever to remember what the heck they were talking about, and I had to actually look it up because no one specifically said it. And I'm like, what did she even do at the prison? And it was when she actually burned the two bodies to try to stop the virus. So it was interesting that she had. It seemed like by the end of the episode, she was finally just hit with it. Like everyone, that's all everyone seems to be talking about is that I burned those two bodies to, and I killed those two people to try to protect everyone else, and it didn't work. Even if it did, that probably still would have been on top of everyone's list. But it seemed like she was just kind of hit by that, and she was just gonna take off again and just go out and survive in the world. So she was gonna go, and Daryl busts her, and then the van drives past, and Daryl finds out that it's the people with the cross in the back of the truck or the van, and so they go after them, which I can't wait to see because there's no way they're gonna skip over that storyline next week. So I'm really hoping that we do get to see Beth in next week's episode, even though, of course, the main focus is gonna be on the hunters in this in next week's episode. But that's the other big thing. Bob ends up getting bit in this episode, which really sucked, and that really made me mad because Bob is like a brand new character, and I know it would be really hard because either it's like kill off what few original members we have, or you do have to kill off one of the new members. But I really like Bob, and it seemed like what they were doing, they set up a relationship between Bob and Sasha, and then he gets killed, or well, at least he gets bit in this episode. And I was really hoping that he was fine. I'm like, just whenever that happens in any zombie based thing, the person gets bitten. We don't really get to see it. And I was just really hoping, like, I really hope they don't do that because Bob's such a new character. And I feel like he still hasn't had too many episodes where he got to be a really big focus. Like, we had the one episode where he joined the group, which I thought was a great episode. Like, seeing how he used to survive on his own and going through the stuff where he's like, I didn't really want to join this group because every time I join a group, they end up dying. So we got to learn a bit about his character, and we got to see a little more with him and Sasha as a couple, and he's looking for the good and all the bad. And it was really cool, and then, that it sucks at the end he gets bit, and he's really upset, and then he gets knocked out, and he wakes up, and it's the Terminus people. And this is one of the things they did from the comic book that I really enjoyed. It was really cool because when the Terminus people came in, that was a really big thing. Like, who are the Terminus people as far as, in relation to comic book characters? And Gareth was always related to the leader of the Hunters. They were just in Terminus, and that was why, because the Hunters were cannibals in the comics. And in this episode, they go full on Hunter just like they were in the comic books. And that scene when they actually knock one of the people out and they eat his leg is exactly from the comic books. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it was cool. I still hated the fact that it was Bob. And I'm pretty sure I know where they're going to go with that in the next episode, what some of the stuff Bob might end up saying. But I did enjoy that they did that. It just sucked that it was Bob. But I enjoyed that. It was really cool. Another crappy thing that happened, and some people guessed this, it's that Tyrese didn't actually kill that guy from last week's episode. And, that's going to come back and bite him in the butt. I mean, it's one guy, but if Carol finds out, that's going to lead to some confrontation there. Even if she doesn't and Tyrese runs into that guy, he'll probably feel responsible in some ways, just one extra enemy that the group has to deal with. And it's kind of because he let the guy go. And it was really interesting because I never would have thought that he actually let that guy go, because in the entire episode it was like last week it was him talking about how he couldn't kill zombies and he couldn't kill humans, and people thought that, I read some comments where people thought that he didn't kill that guy, which they were right, that didn't kill that guy because he couldn't. But I thought the whole point of that episode was him kind of getting over the fact that he was freaking out because he was talking about how he couldn't kill zombies either. So it wasn't just, oh, I can kill zombies, like bang bang, I could just shoot any zombie or hit any zombie I want, and then he couldn't kill the humans. It was both. He couldn't kill the zombies in the very beginning of the premiere, and he couldn't kill the one guy. But when he got pushed outside, he had to kill all those zombies. And I thought, okay, so that was like half of his issue. He couldn't kill zombies. He killed all of those except for the one he impaled through the neck. And then he was kind of going crazy because he had to kill those zombies. And then it seemed like he was just beating the guy to death. He kept saying, I won't, but he was punching him over and over again. And you see that a lot in TV shows too, where it's like, I can't do this. But it's like, if you just don't put your fist forward again, you wouldn't be. So when he kept hitting the guy, I really thought he killed him. And it seemed like that entire story kind of just ended. He got over the issues he had. But in this episode, we find out he really didn't. He can kill zombies at least, and that's probably only if he has to. If he's pushed into that situation, he will kill the zombies. But he let that guy go. He beat the crap out of him, and then he had the upper hand, and he, I guess, just pushed the guy out of the cabin. It's like, get the heck out of here. Or he was still in the cabin and he just didn't he didn't let Carol go in. But it was a really great episode. I'm excited to see just how crazy things are going to get. I want to see, the stuff with Father Gabriel. I enjoyed his character. I thought he had a very interesting introduction. I actually like him more in this version, in like the TV version, than I did in the comics, because he seems more entertaining to me, and I guess that's because in the comics he is a lot more serious, and he's kind of the same. He's fearful because he's not the fighting character. He's just like he's a preacher. He's a priest or whatever, and he doesn't fight the zombies. And in this, something about his just character, it could be just the way it's acted. It's much different than me just reading it off a piece of paper. But it was very interesting to see, like, he makes the crappy jokes and stuff in the beginning of the episode. He tries to be really friendly, but he kind of fails at it, and that's not because he's not friendly enough. It's simply because he's friendly to people who have been, friends with people like the governor, where it's like, oh, that doesn't seem too bad, and then, boom, a lot of people get killed. So it was really interesting to actually meet his character, and he freaked out when they went underwater or into like the basement of the food drive place, which I love that scene, like him just really freaking out because he knew that woman when she was alive was really good. Just overall, I really enjoyed the episode. Just the last like 10% of the episode was just super depressing. Like, Bob gets bit, Bob gets knocked out, gets his leg chopped off. Carol and Daryl go after the people in the car, so we're gonna, like I said, hopefully get to see what they find out. I don't know if we'll actually get the whole Beth storyline in next week's episode. We might get that, 2 weeks from now. But overall, it was a great episode. It's gonna suck to see what happens with like Sasha and stuff now that Bob's gone. And overall, it's just gonna suck that Bob got his leg chopped off. But great episode. Of course, comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and with some of the stuff that they've done in this episode, particularly the comic-based stuff, where it's like scene for scene, or at least story-based. It seems like it's going to be exactly what they did in the comic books. Whether you've read the comics or not, how do you want the storylines to go? Because we got Bob kidnapped, we got the Father Gabriel stuff. If you know what's going to happen and you're going to comment, please put spoiler tags or anything like that. Just put spoiler alert in the comment before you spoil everything from the comic books. But how do you guys want these storylines to go? What do you think Father Gabriel's secret is? And how do you guys think the hunters are going to take on Rick's group? Because it looked like there were maybe 5 or 6 of them. And, Rick's group is like double that size. But they're clearly being smart. They're like marking trees, which I noticed when Bob was standing next to the tree. And I believe they had the same mark in the premiere when, like in the after credit scene. But that kind of didn't make too much sense because they weren't really out there. That was like near one of the posts. So that could have still been the Terminus people that marked the tree. But I just assumed it was Rick's people. But how do you want those storylines to go, and who do you want to live and who do you want to die if you have to really choose? Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.